Yeah! Something going on! Yeah! Yeah! Something going on in the neighborhood. Why do we see much further than we should? You're sick of the lies, sick of the lies. Who you gonna call when you get on the line? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 If there ain't no curve, there ain't no ball. The globe religion about to fall. We're gonna open your eyes so you can see who you gonna call if you wanna be free. GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS!
And welcome everybody to GLOBEBUSTERS. We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of GLOBEBUSTERS Tech. Today, we're going to be talking about the secret balloon program. They're not so secret anymore, but this one was brought up by Robert Bassano about 7 years ago. Wow, it's amazing how time flies. Back in 2017, I remember this was like groundbreaking to me. Declassified documents. This was classified, top secret for a very long time. I think it was declassified he'll get into it. But the PDF for this document is in the description. So go check it out. But we're going to be going through it, and some of the stuff that they say in here is just, it's mind blowing. The amount of secrecy they went with this balloon program to where even other members of the military, high-ranking members, the top-ranking officer on an Air Force at the Air Force base was not allowed to know about it. Even it was that top secret. It's really wild, and it's something that I haven't gone over in. Geez, it's been about 3 or 4 years since I've even really. I think I did a live stream on it a few years ago. But yeah, this one will blow your mind. But before we do jump into that, we're going to say hello to everybody. Starting off, we're going to say hi to Miss Karen B. Karen, how's your week, man? Is it chilly over there by you? I know it's chilly here.
Yeah, it's been a little chilly.
It was down in the 20s the other night.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, whoa.
It's been cold. I don't like it.
No, it's kind of unusual, this area, this time of year. Well, I'm not a native to this area, but the last few years, it usually doesn't get colder until, in January.
Yeah.
Late January is when we get this kind of cold. So this is kind of off-putting.
Yeah, it did this last year too. The winters kind of fluctuate here though, I have noticed, because like some years we'll get snow and some years we don't, so much. So
Yeah, last year was the first year of my life I did not see snow for an entire year. It was awesome.
wow.
Yeah, first one ever. So it's been good to me here. All right, next up, we're going to say hello to Mr. Kyle Adams. Kyle, how was your week, sir?
It was really good. I had a really interesting interview with a flat earther. He does the channel on Missing the Mark of Truth. And he had some really interesting things to share with me. So, for example, describe the word field.
Field.
Describe it. What is a field?
Like a football field or a electric field or
Like a football field. Like a
uh,
football field.
I'd
Like
say
something you'd put like
a
seeds
space,
in.
an area.
Okay, a space, an area, something that you put seeds in, like you can actually plant a field. Like, describe that field a little bit further. Would you describe a field as
Earth?
something? Would you describe it as something mountainous?
No, it would be flat.
No. Okay, so a field is flat earth, right? Okay, so listen to this carefully. Okay, a field is flat earth. Okay, this is Genesis chapter 2. These are the generations of the heaven and the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made earth and the heavens, and every plant in the field before it was in the earth, right? And so if we just substitute the word field and put in flat earth,
there it is. Yeah.
What? You see what I'm saying? Okay, every plant of the flat earth before it was in the earth, and every herb of the flat earth before it grew. And so I was like, what? I'd never seen that before. Like, I don't know why I've never put it together, but it wasn't until I talked to him that, what?
Field,
This
yeah.
is really fun.
There's actually a lot in Genesis.
Yeah.
That is very flat earth.
Yeah. But
very.
There's a bunch of words like that directly say flat earth, but they, instead of like saying flat earth, they just use a different word that describes the same thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And so I think field was one word, breadth was another word, and I forgot the third word that was like on the tip of my tongue, but it's all over there. But because we don't typically look at the word field as flat earth, like even though that's what it means, yeah, it just kind of goes right over our heads. So, yeah, I'm going to segment that. It was kind of a long interview, so I'm going to segment it out and I'll share it in little pieces. And yeah, it's awesome.
I remember back in high school, before we get to Cami real quick, I was going out with this girl for, I don't know, it wasn't very long. And she was the first girl I ever went out with just because she was real pretty. You know, I hadn't really talked to her or anything like that before too much, didn't really know her all that well. And we were at a soccer game watching them play, and the field was kind of, it had a little bow in the middle of it. You know, most fields don't. Most fields are perfectly flat, but this one just had a little bow in it. And she goes, "Look, you could see the curve of the earth in the field." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Look, you see there, you could see the curve of the earth in the football field there." And I was just like, "Are you serious?" And right then I realized that I will never go out with another girl because of her looks ever again. It's just not worth
That's
it.
hilarious.
I'm not going to say her name, but yeah, that was.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Mrs. Cami Nodell. Cami, I know how your week was, but why don't you let everybody else know how your week's been going?
Oh, why would I want to do that? We are working on getting better, just trying to hold on and get there. So it hasn't really been a great week as far as doing things. I'm looking for inspiration on things to get done. Karen B, you've been inspiring me a lot with your ideas of a camera and going forward with homeschooling ideas and, in different directions. The secret balloon program, this was interesting because you're right. It takes us way back. And that was an inspiring moment for me. It was an interesting, inspiring moment because this, when it came out, even, again, you sit there and think flat earth is silly and you fight through it and do that. And we do that with most ideas. That's why generally when I disagree with an idea, people don't realize like how much thought I've usually given it before, making a public stand on it. But with this was one that instantly hit me as ridiculous. I don't know why. Maybe it was because at the time I had a chip on my shoulder about Robert Bassano. It could be a million different things, but I saw this and it hit me as, this is stupid. And very few things actually hit me where I'm angry about it or this is really dumb. Karen, like you get when things really are dumb. And this one I pushed through. But I mean, that was an initial reaction, and we get those sometimes initially on a lot of things. This one I pushed through, and the more I pushed through, the more respect I got for it. The more I talked with Robert Pisano actually on this, and the amount of questions that it answered and the amount of things it tied together and brought back into reality. Again, taking things and tagging them. That's how the world works. Close to my heart. So I'm hoping to be inspired by this.
Yeah, you've never seen this one?
I probably have years ago.
Corona program, they called it. Yeah, it was, I believe it was back in 2017, 7 years. Yeah, 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He put this one out. Here, let me share my screen. What am I doing? Here we go. Oh, man.
I will say too, though, while you're pulling that up, this topic is actually really relevant because earlier on Twitter, I was seeing this interview with Elon Musk was going viral. So I watched some of it, most of it, to see what he was saying. And he's sitting there bragging about putting satellites up in space. And I'm just like, wow, that's why everybody thinks he's so great. He's like, nobody's doing more for the environment than me. Look at
I know. I heard him say that.
Look at Tesla, like we're saving the environment. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are freaking destroying the environment with making those stupid batteries with a 99.9% waste of whatever they pull out of the ground to make their freaking batteries. Like, get out of here.
Not to mention slave labor used to pull all that stuff out. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, so I was just like, I get why Mark Sargent hates Elon Musk. And like, after watching that interview, I hate him too now. Like I have negative, like it's even worse. Like before I was like, he's kind of dumb, whatever. But today I watched that and then he's saying all that stuff about saving the environment with his BS electric cars that suck. And actually you can't do any road trips in electric cars because you have to wait hours to charge them and you can only go through however X amount of miles. Like you can't even leave California in your fancy electric car. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous. And he's sitting up there bragging about all the good he's doing for people. And people love this guy. So this is very relevant right now because he's using this as bragging rights. And clearly he's not putting anything in space.
No,
he's part of the complete and utter nonsense that is this new world order and part of the deception. And he's like the new, he's the new Pied Piper. Trump was the last Pied Piper. This is the new Pied Piper, right? So this is very relevant, and I think it's great that we're going to talk about this. All right.
Doing all these rockets. Oh, we're rocket science. We're smart. We've got technology, and therefore you can trust us. It's all sales gimmick.
So yeah, Robert Pisano, he was at it for a while. I haven't seen him put out anything new lately, I don't think. 7 years ago, no, not on this channel at least. I know this is right around 2017 when they really started the censoring. And he was like, yeah, I'm done with this. But I haven't heard, I know he was in the background working with somebody within the last couple years. I had heard his name being talked about again. But yeah, really good researcher. If you haven't ever seen any of his channels or this channel, he's the guy who, the Hubble. He talks about the Hubble. He actually calls NASA and talks to the head program guy of the Hubble and interviews him. And
that was this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I saw this, the whole thing with Sophia and the Hubble being the same thing.
Yeah.
That was great work.
Yeah. He does some really good research. And in this video, I guess we could play his video a little bit. I was going to go through, here's the PDF. I just wanted to show you. www.nro.gov. Portals, declassified. And this took place in the 50s, I believe. Lieutenant Colonel Harold E. Mitchell, the Corona program.
Oh yeah, the whole. I'm just still thinking about the Sophia program and how it's right in the back of a plane. It's like the same pictures as the Hubble, and yeah, every flat earther should be aware of the Sophia program.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this one is about recovering a parachute and capsule, is what the Corona program is. Now, these parachutes were before they're, falling down to the ground, the parachute hasn't been deployed yet, and this thing is hanging from a balloon. These were our satellites, and it was top secret. It didn't matter where they were being gathered. They were being gathered over our country here in the United States. They were being gathered, around our foreign military bases and all the other places we were allowed to go. Supposedly, Russia had them lined up along the Kremlin, the ones that they had recovered themselves.
And this has all been declassified
This
since
is
then.
all
And so
declassified.
whenever something becomes declassified, one of the things we always should ask is, why was it ever classified in the first place?
Yeah.
Why was it ever classified in the first place? And yeah, when we can really start to extrapolate on that, there's a lot of answers there.
So the date of this interview was October of the 1st, 2003. So this is this gentleman talking about this from back in the day. The subject time frame from 1943 to 1974 is when he worked with the Corona program. And there's a couple other programs after the Corona program that he was a part of, I believe. But yeah, this is a really interesting read. I mean, the pictures are all garbage, but the actual read, it's just, you'll see it. It'll say Mulcahy and then Mitchell answering the questions. So it's one man asking the questions and the other one answering it.
Most of the pictures are garbage whenever you get these declassified PDFs.
Yeah.
They're just hard photocopies.
Yeah.
It
looks like a Xerox.
With stuff taken out, with, things blanked out in most of them. You're like,
yeah, those are horrible. This one
So
doesn't
much
have
for
too
free-
much of that.
so much for freedom of information. Like, what the heck, bro? You left a bunch of stuff out. That's not freedom of information.
How many pages is this thing? So 39 pages long. Not a bad read. But yeah, we're going to play some of Robert's video here. This one this blew my mind when I heard it. And I've watched it a few times since then.
Passes on that drogue chute. Okay? When they say they can make their passes on that drogue
Sorry
chute,
about that.
you're looking at.
Let me back it up a little bit here. Okay.
They're still studying it as we speak. So space definitely, and at that altitude, even at DOD standard, we got a serious lack of oxygen and all of the components and pressure and environments that are consistent on the surface plane of the Earth. Okay? So in space, you have limited to almost zero aerodynamic control, astronomic control. You need some sort of vehicle that has to travel at ultra high speeds, well beyond the speed of sound, which is 700, and that's launched
Let's get into the
on
Corona
a fucking
program.
rocket. Okay? They had several missions.
And I apologize for the language. Robert is very passionate, and he doesn't hold back his language. I know you're not used to hearing that here on GlobeBusters Tech. We try to keep our language a little more civil, but yeah, Robert,
He's worse than me.
he does. He speaks like a sailor sometimes. This is Robert holding back actually in his videos. So yeah, I apologize.
Type of device. Okay? So I'm not going to read this entire document, but there's specific sections of this document we're going to address. So I can prove to you guys that.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to play his, because I wanted to make sure that we got the specific parts that he talks about. I was reading through the document earlier. It was like, it's only 39 pages, but it's not the easiest thing to read, the way that it's all printed out with all the dots and everything. I don't know. I was reading through it and I was like, man, I'm never going to find the exact spots that he had. So instead of going through and listening to his and then marking it down and me reading it out to you, I figured I'd just have Robert do it. I doubt he'll mind. Yeah.
Satellites are not floating around above 100, maybe 100, 200,000 feet. They are literally 10 to maybe 50,000 feet above the altitude where U2 optimal flight range is. So, and I'll show that to you as well. The technical specs for U2, they can go beyond 70,000 feet, okay? Beyond 70,000 feet. That's not their max operating altitude. They can go beyond that, okay? Now, the reason why I chose this document is for one simple reason, okay? Although this activity occurred between 1954 and 1956, and Corona program is 1958 to 1962, the subject time frame involves about 20 years, 23 years, okay? But look at the date of the interview, people.
That's 33.
The date of the interview was October 1st of 2003, okay? Now, what significance does that play? One, to me, it's fairly recent. Even though this is 2016, that's 13 years, okay? This document was recently declassified as an interview, but it's also interesting to note that it was conducted by the Space and Missile Systems Center. All right? All right. So let's go on.
You can't do that without getting involved with NASA.
Yeah. Yeah. And when did it start? I think it was before NASA was even founded, when he was with this program, the Corona program.
Uh-huh.
So it was probably, I forget the name of it, the actual, not NASA, but the first air restriction type thing that the government had started in, I believe, 1915 or something like that. 1916.
Back when NASA was still part of the Air Force.
Yeah. Yeah. This is when it was mostly the Air Force that was doing all this stuff.
I mean, I downloaded from the National Reconnaissance Office. I put the link inside the description section. Anybody can click on that and read it. If you want to go along while we're reading this, please do that. Click on the link, open up the document in PDF, go along with me on this so you can help me out if I develop some sort of confirmation bias or I get an episode of the Mandela of the History Office at the Space and Missile Centers at Los Angeles Air Force Base. He said today is stand by here for a second, people. I've got some
babies crying.
Maybe being over the telephone was better, but you know, who knows?
Okay,
I'm not going to get this during our instrument training. We didn't fly our emergency training at night either. We did all of our training instrument flying 16 hours a day. We did that because time was of the essence. And if we didn't fly night missions, we'd never get all the training done to get people ready to go into the practice sessions, okay? So let's go ahead in. Now, here's where he describes what the dragnet gondola looked like.
Right now I'm thinking of the Batman thing.
Hmm?
I'm thinking of the Batman thing, Operation Skyhook.
Yeah, kind of the same, except they were grabbing it from the front. Here they had a hook that is hanging out the back end. He's going to explain it here in a second. But yeah, same concept. Balloon falling down, and you just go by and you hook it, and then crank it in and pull this big thing into your,
Dragnet gondola look like? Well, we use similar parachutes, except the Corona program or Discoverer program only used one chute. Okay, we used 4 28-foot parachutes for a dragnet gondola, and they did all of the chute modification at the parachute shop. They would attach 4 parachutes, and these were not reinforced parachutes. They were just to lower the load, the gondola, and you'd attach them to the gondola, and then from the middle of this, on a longer tether, you would have a smaller chute that we call the drogue chute. I think the drogue chute was 100 feet above the 4 descent chutes, and the drogue chute was reinforced. We could make our passes on that drogue chute. Okay.
So they had, 4, when the thing was falling out of the sky, 4 chutes would open up, and then a smaller chute, about 100 feet higher, would open up above that on a rope, and they would work on catching that parachute or that rope right there where that parachute was. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Yeah. So you have your parachutes are right here, the ones that are actually taking on the payload to make it fall slower. And then there's a real long rope above that with another little parachute
Okay, yeah.
up above that, yeah. And
Uh-huh.
that's where they would grab it from, right there. It
Uh-huh.
wasn't like they were grabbing between the parachute and
Okay.
trying to
Yeah.
grab it. Yeah, they were grabbing everything from the top pretty much.
Mhm.
Okay, when they say they can make their passes on that drogue chute, you're looking at 100-foot tether, right? And what would happen is that the drogue chute would deploy. You got 100-foot of tether. The plane didn't need to come within a dangerous distance of the chute as the satellite was falling from the sky, and they'd have a hook at the back of the aircraft that would fly by and hook this chute. And once they hooked it, they start reeling it into the back of the aircraft. Okay. If anybody's ever seen that, if you can find a video online right now, help me out here a little bit to show what that looks like. Please do post it up, and I can show everybody what that looks like. Okay. So here's some important data.
They can use one of those military planes. You know, they got that military plane that has the back end that opens up. Everybody's seen it in the movies where the back end opens up. All you have to do is have the hook hanging out of that thing and then fly by the satellite and hook it and reel it back into the little bay doors.
Like a fishing rod.
Right,
Just like a
exactly.
fishing rod.
Exactly.
And these things were big. Like you said, that's a big old bay door on the back of that.
But it is big. They put trucks in those things.
These were, I think he's going to say it right here, about 5 foot by 5 foot, the dimensions of these
that's
gondolas,
more than
they call
small
them.
enough.
Yeah, way more than small enough.
Yeah.
So they would, and they would have multiple ones of these lined up in their bay, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were in a big plane.
The top of the gondola had a compartment for the chutes and all that stuff. And a lot of it had to be the parachutes, but the whole capsule was 1,450 pounds when it was airlifted. Okay. The capsule they're talking about is literally the satellite. The gondola had now I want you to pay attention to this. He says this is Mitchell, Captain Mitchell talking. Captain Mitchell says the gondola had a huge balloon. I mean, a huge balloon. You could see it at 60,000 to 85,000 feet. Okay.
Wow.
That's what he says. Not only does he describe the balloon, but he accentuates how big the balloon actually was. Now, this supports what I've been telling all of you, that NASA has had a balloon program literally for decades, over as long as they've been in existence. Some of these balloons are the size of a football field. And I don't care if you could use the word football as in soccer or American football or rugby. When you look at the size of a football field, 100 yards long, 50 yards wide, just imagine what that looks like up in the sky. Think about what a balloon that size could lift off the ground. Okay. Now, Macaulay says, did you ever see a Genetrix balloon get inflated and then lift off? Did you see that process? Mitchell says once, but I didn't see the beginning of it. I saw it when it was about 3/4 filled and then the liftoff. Now, this was only in the training phase of our operation in the summer of 1955. And that was done in Denver, Colorado at Lowry Air Force Base. The one that I watched launch, they had to put the capsule on a forklift. And I imagine this was done before the balloon was attached and inflated. At any rate, they started their inflation. And then as the balloon got full enough to support itself and go airborne, they'd run down a taxiway with the forklift, carrying the gondola until the balloon had enough lift to get the gondola airborne. Now,
okay. So hold on. So I was just going to say, it's a really, really significant thing that he's saying here, because I don't know how many of you have gotten into debates with different people about satelloons and, these balloon satellites. And I've heard time and time again, people saying, oh, well, satelloons are in development. It's not done yet. And this right here is directly proving to the contrary, that no, they've had balloon satellites or satelloons around for a long time, as long as NASA's been around.
Oh,
or longer than
how to look it up on NASA has a whole thing on it. It's called high altitude, long duration balloons. They don't call it weather balloon and blah, 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 blah.
Oh, and it's not just NASA, ESA.
Yeah.
They all have it.
High
it's not just
altitude,
something that's
long
in
duration.
development. Maybe they're like continually changing the technology
Oh,
behind
this
it.
is going to blow
That's
your mind,
improving.
Kyle. When he gets near the end of this, we're gonna jump ahead because this is a 2 hours, but he's gonna go into some of today's balloon programs, and you are going to be blown away by the names on these. All these
Okay.
satellites that we, are told that are up there, they're all balloon programs, and they're documented. And
Yeah, let's see it.
when these satellites are launched, they're claimed to be launched. These balloons were launched. Yeah, it's all like I
It's
said, he's a
just
really good researcher.
parallel lines here. It's just like
Yeah, yeah. I want to get to the part where he talks about the military guy not being allowed, like the head guy on base tried walking onto one of these planes and what almost happened. It's crazy when you think about it. But yeah, I'm gonna let him finish up this part, and then I'll find that part. I'm pretty sure I know right where it is.
this is hot
I
stuff.
want to show
Yeah. Robert, great researcher. Robert Bassano, everybody. This is a Planete Veritas channel. And the PDF we are looking at is it's a declassified FOIA document from nro.gov, and it is the interview with Lieutenant Colonel Harold E. Mitchell about the Corona program.
It's funny how so many gems, like absolute gems, come in such bland packaging. When you
Yeah.
just look at this, it looks so boring, but under the right eyes, you can see gold there.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's actually all over the place. If you really want to dig deep in these documents, you can find it in random places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's time consuming, and it's a pain in the butt, and they've made it a lot harder than it used to be. But yeah, people find gold in here, and yeah. Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, gold is
So-
normally kind of pretty buried anyways. It takes a little bit of to get
Yeah,
it out.
work to get it out. That's right.
Yeah.
all of you what that actually looks like in real time. Now, when I say real time, okay, when I say real time, I'm talking to you. This is a launch that had already occurred in Antarctica, okay? This is a launch that already occurred in Antarctica, and I'm going to show it to you.
Yeah, we've all seen this one. Most of us have.
And here we go.
Where they have the thing running along the ground,
Mm-hmm.
the big giant balloon.
I just read this to you. This balloon launch took place in Antarctica, and it's an 8,000 fucking pound telescope satellite. There goes the mountains in the background. Here's a visual description of what I just read in that document.
Yep, except they were using a forklift. That thing's a little bit bigger than a forklift.
Down a taxiway and getting in the loft and launching it. Watch what happens.
Is this the one that smashes into everything? Starts taking out cars?
I don't know, possibly.
I don't think I saw that video.
Oh,
There's
that's a
one
funny
where
one.
it just starts knocking everything.
If you like
out of
apples.
the way.
It is.
How you like them fucking apples? That's 8,000 fucking pounds, people.
Wow.
Listen, pounds.
8,000 pounds just going up like that.
That dome on the top is actually where all of the radio equipment is installed so that a C-130 can communicate with it.
The C-130
It
is a
sends
very
off a
big
signal
military plane.
so that when these aircraft are in the air, they can detect the signal while it's up at 85,000 feet, 100,000 feet. Today's balloons get to about 130, 150, 180,000 feet. Okay?
180?
And at night,
Yeah, I've never heard of them going that
I've never
high.
heard of anything going 180,000 feet.
I've heard of 150.
What about the
in-
whole
I've
project?
like seen 130,
Echo was like
140.
the biggest record I've ever heard of.
Well,
any
Echo was like
message.
1,000 miles. They claimed
Yeah.
to go up. That
It was like a
just,
stupid amount. Like,
Yeah.
1,000 miles? No way.
yeah.
Just
NASA
no.
claimed to send
No.
a balloon 1,000 miles up. Yeah.
Mm-mm. No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. I'm telling you.
That's like the record of kind of
I don't know if he
Yeah.
shows it in here. It's
biggest
on the cover.
launch
It's
for
yeah,
a balloon that
Echo
they've ever
1.
claimed.
Okay, this is gravy right here. But let's see, there's got to be the part. Maybe it's right in here.
Let me see. He's talking about some of the mission operations, standing orders. Let's see.
So you might have went through it already.
Okay.
This stuff was
Here's where he
real
talked
top
about getting in
secret.
contact with one of the balloons. I then flew into Castle Air Force Base on Friday night. The next morning, we checked into the command post. The balloon had started traveling to the west, and they were concerned about it. So they scrambled us, and we started tracking after it. Each one of these balloons transmitted their own identification signal. By the time we made contact with the balloon, we were about 310 miles at sea, west of San Francisco. I didn't like us being out there by ourselves, especially making aerial recovery. At about 85,000 feet, after you sighted a balloon, you'd interrogate it. What they mean by interrogate is you do an inspection to see what's going on here. It could be some sort of decoy. The Russians used to do this. They used to do the same thing, drop shit out of the sky, making it and spoofing the signal to basically spy on areas of the United States, and they send these aircraft out there. The U.S. would send their aircraft out, and they'd have to inspect it to see what was really going on, if it was really their equipment or somebody else's equipment. And let me tell you what the Russians used to do. Okay, they would launch a decoy, and when an aircraft got close enough to it, and it was transmitting that signal, and that aircraft got close, they'd fucking detonate the thing, and it explode in the fucking air.
Air
You warfare
mines.
That was
the
your
water
space
mines.
Star Wars program. Star Wars program considered fucking using balloons and as bombs, basically. The balloon's radio signal would give you its code name or code number. If you wanted to terminate its flight, you had a black box up on the flight deck at the navigator station. He would dial in the code of the balloon we were trying to track, and the balloon would come back and answer. Then if we had clearance from the Charleston Air Force Base command post to bring the balloon down, we would insert another code. This then would ignite a blast from the gondola that would burst the balloon. After we terminated the flight of the balloon, here's what they say. It would do very much the same as the Discoverer did. It would fall so far, and then the drogue chute would come out. The chute would slow it down until it was at an acceptable altitude and airspeed. And then the parachute would get fully deployed. It was late. Listen to this, people. It was late in the evening when they authorized me to terminate the balloon. Now, how late in the evening could it be? We could be maybe when, maybe 9, 10 o'clock at night for the Air Force Base to drop the gondola off. How did they unload it and take it away? Mitchell says they sent people out and it was offloaded. Where they took it to and what they did with it afterwards, we didn't know. That was not our mission. Dragnet was a top secret operation, gondola and all. The only thing that we were concerned with were the people who were not connected with the program, that they had no opportunity to see the gondola, so we carried sidearms. You hear that?
So even though you're a part of the military, this and that, you could have, top secret clearance and this and that and yada. If you weren't a part of this program, you were not allowed to see the gondola. You're not allowed to even see it. That was just...
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what clearance you have, you had to be a part of this
compartmentalization,
program.
Right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
To the fullest.
How does NASA do it? And that's my big statement all the time is compare the number of employees that NASA has with the number of employees the CIA has. And people are like, there's no way they can keep that secret. I'm like, the CIA, that's kind of their business, is keeping secrets. If the CIA has this many employees and NASA has this many employees in comparison, if the CIA can keep a secret, then NASA should also be able to keep a secret.
I know that on the clip that we've seen a lot on Why Does It Matter that, Bob did with Jaron and Morgile, and Karen, I think you're going to be featuring that. But that's from a GLOBEBUSTERS show where he was answering a text from my sister, and that was one of the things, is somebody she knew made, parts and things that they knew about the payload going up on the satellite. So how could it all be, fake, because of the fact that she knows people that have worked on these experiments and that they're getting, readings and things like that. And that's a very, very valid question. And here's your very, very valid answer. They are working on things that they are going up in the air and that are taking measurements and readings, maybe not exactly where they think they're getting them from and such, like when we get our space weather and like we get all the data we get. But instruments are going up and we are getting data retrieved. It's just not
Wrapped around the
exactly
ball. Yeah.
wrapped. It's not wrapped around a ball.
I would love to see that data. Okay, he's going to say it. I think it's right. The next couple minutes, he's going to explain how top secret this was.
That they didn't want people to see this thing. So they were always strapped, ready to go. That if someone were to see one of these things, they had to deal with that person. You're not supposed to see these fucking satellites launched on fucking balloons. You're not supposed to see them land. You're not supposed to see them being offloaded. Now, this was back in 1954. You bet your ass the same thing is happening today. They don't want nobody seeing the Hubble come down on a fucking parachute. They don't want to see it. They don't want to see parts of the space station, which is in modules, detach, come down on a fucking drogue parachute, get captured by one of these C-119s or C-130s, taken down to Antarctica at the Concordia station. And just to remind people and to redress this, Concordia station, NASA classifies it as a hypoxic environment. Okay? They said the conditions at Concordia are more severe than being on the ISS. It's extremely fucking cold down there. So when astronauts actually are sent down there for cold weather training in the most extreme environment on Earth. They said it's more extreme than being at altitude. And it dawned on me now, when I got that document a couple of months ago, I started to put two and two together. How could there be a place on the surface of the flat plane Earth? How could there be a place at about 8,000 feet above sea level be more extreme than being at 245 fucking miles above the surface of the Earth, supposedly in microgravity? And I thought to myself, wait a minute, the ISS is definitely fucking not at 245 miles. Because if I can go to Concordia Station in Antarctica and literally be in worse conditions than being on ISS, then ISS conclusively has to be around 150, 160,000 feet on a fucking balloon. Let's keep going on. So this guy goes on.
Yeah, I don't know if Robert still goes with that. I'm not sure. But I don't know about the ISS being on a balloon.
I can't believe that it's on a balloon, because it would have to be moving at a fast, regular pace, predictable pace. So
Well, there's something up there that people, take
I
pictures
know.
of.
Oh yeah.
I've recorded it myself, transiting the sun. Like I went and used the tracker, and I went and I was like, oh, I just recorded something crossing the sun. And then it looks like a little TIE fighter. It's got the little shape. So, there's something going on there, but it's really weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole nother
What
subject.
is it? And so, yeah, the government has a lot of different flight technology that is totally classified, just like these balloons were really, really classified in those days. Yeah. What are they sitting on today that they're not telling us about?
Yeah. I like a lot of Robert's ideas and thoughts, but I can't go along with the ISS being on a balloon. I just can't. Yeah. That's just me, though.
Maybe it is a balloon.
No, it's not.
Giant inflatable. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what is up there,
you have to have something to be pushing it, unless it's like the jet streams that are pushing that thing and making it go on predictable rates. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe one of these days we'll be let in on all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. He's going to come to it right here. Yeah, I'm reading down here, and this is where it takes place.
Says that and this is what's interesting about this. He says he had an instrument problem on the airplane at Offutt Air Force Base, and the people came out to refuel the plane. I filed to come back to Charleston as soon as they offloaded the gondola. This was on a Sunday morning, and I'd gotten in there late Saturday night. The base operations officer said he was going to come aboard. He wanted to check Form 21A, which is my maintenance form. I lost an inverter, and I had a bad generator, but I didn't want to fool around and stay at Offutt Air Force Base on a weekend trying to get it repaired. So while this guy's at this base, this captain, okay, some lieutenant colonel, he says he was a lieutenant colonel, and he tried to come on board our airplane. And here's what happened. The captain, Mitchell, says, I said, I'm sorry, you're not allowed on board. This lieutenant colonel stepped up the ladder and started explaining that he was a Silverleaf, a lieutenant colonel, and I was wearing tracks, a captain. About that time, he heard the rifle bolt of a carbine slide home, loaded to ammunition. My crew chief was standing there with his carbine down at his hip, so the lieutenant colonel decided not to come on board. He decided prudence was better part of valor. Do you see that?
So yeah, that's telling you something. When those people are ordered to, if they have to, kill a superior officer, someone, they're supposed to follow their orders. They're supposed to, but not in this instance. It's, you have not the authority, you have the, it's your job.
It's because they have orders from above that guy.
Yeah.
To use deadly force to protect that cargo.
And it's crazy, that this guy didn't even know that anything was going on funny in the plane, that there was an order out there that, like a lot of times, I know my, it was the 70s, my stepdad was in the military. And when the special forces guys would come around and do their training and stuff like that, they were always told ahead of time, hey, there's going to be some guys coming. You're not to talk to them. It's like they don't exist. That's what they were told. They were forewarned about it. And here's a lieutenant colonel, and he's got no idea that this is even going on. There is no, hey, there's these people out here doing something. It's real top secret. Hush, hush. Don't pay them any attention. This is like beyond top secret, the stuff they're doing.
Nice save.
Okay. Those stinker butts. The boys are home. Okay. Sorry about that.
This guy's a captain. He tells a lieutenant colonel, sir, I'm sorry, you can't come on board. I'll come down to show you my Form 21A, but you can't come on board. This lieutenant colonel says, excuse me, but I'm a lieutenant colonel and you're a captain. I can come on board. And one of this guy's crew chief says, I don't think so. He problems, coordinate procedures, and assign responsibility for responding to any news media queries which might arise. There was a secret,
just getting to the end of it here,
label on the fucking satellite.
A secret label.
And they removed.
Yeah. Either go back and watch his video, Robert's whole video. It's about 2 hours long, I believe. Yeah, it's right at about 1 hour, 58 minutes.
He's a pretty good storyteller. So he's able to make it interesting, which is really cool.
Get past the language.
A really boring looking document look interesting, and that's some talent.
Yeah, being able to take just this right here and put a visual in your head and actually tell a story like that. Yeah, it's not easy to do. Robert's really good at it. But yeah, it's just a great document in general. A lot of information, a lot of gravy in there. So go check that out. And okay, here's where it gets really cool. The Esrange Space Center. Now, he did a lot of research into this, and it goes into all these different types of satellites and their names and who's sending them up and the dates and times and this and that. And we're just going to watch a little bit of this. This is right about the 1 hour mark, 1 hour and change, 5 minutes, it looks like. He goes into the U2, where he thinks why they're not using the gondola programs anymore is because they don't need them. Now they still are using them to send up high altitude satellites, right? But as far as just reconnaissance things, we have the U2 high altitude and probably things way beyond that now. I mean, that thing's 50 years old now.
Drones.
Yeah, drones that are teeny tiny that, could be flying right in front of your face and you wouldn't even know it. No, I don't know if they're that good yet.
No.
But yeah, check this out. This will blow your mind. Oh, let me turn this.
List of all balloon launches from the Esrange Space Center in Sweden. Okay? Now, let me take you to the Swedish Space Center. And here is the Swedish Space Center website.
I didn't even know there was a Swedish Space Center.
Yeah. And yeah.
No
I'm
clue.
thinking right now about, NASA. Why are you always quoting NASA? I'm like, well, NASA's kind of like the head source here. Like, yeah, right here, there's a direct connection between NASA and the Swedish space thing. And we're just launching all our balloons over there. And so we just treat it like an arm. The Swedish Space Center is just an arm of
NASA. Yeah.
Description section of this live chat session. This is the Swedish Space Center. And as you can see, they have balloons and rockets, payloads. This is their website. Swedes. The Swedes. Okay? It's the Swedes. Here's their space center. They do balloon launches. Now let me take you to the document I downloaded from their website. Now, this is a list of balloon launches from the Esrange Space Center starting December 9th of 1982. Remember that term, SAMOS? Okay, here we go. History of satellite reconnaissance, right?
SAMOS.
This was declassified May 7th of 2012. All right, these flights took place somewhere between 63, 65, 72. But again, I don't get too focused on the date and time frames. I just want you to see how long these programs have been in existence, okay? I want you to see how long these programs have been in existence. You can read these documents for yourselves. We don't need to keep going through all this stuff together. I put a lot of this shit out for you people so that you can see this. You see they talk about weather satellite program, mapping satellite program, realignment controversy, new directions in satellite reconnaissance, okay? But let me take you to this document, which is very important from the Swedes. This is not US oriented. I got this from a foreign country, okay? So you look at some of the launches. These are balloon launches, people. These ain't fucking rockets. It says it, list of balloon launches. So I want to go down this list and I want you guys to see something very, very fucking interesting. It may shock a shitload of you. It should shock fucking all of you. It didn't shock me because I've been known about this program for a long time.
Again, disclaimer, I apologize for the language. Robert gets very passionate when he gets, especially when he's angry or, but yeah, I know you're not used to that here on GLOBEBUSTERS Tech, but the information is, so important that I just please, just kind of go with it for just this once.
Bear with us.
Okay. And I want you to see something important. There's going to be some things here that you may see that are going to catch your eye. All right. Because I want you to look. You see the campaign, you look at the payload. All right. You got campaigns and payloads. And we're not going to go through all these codes, but you're going to see something that's going to catch your attention. All right. We're going to keep going through this. All right. Keep going through it. You're going to see something that's going to catch your fucking attention, that's going to blow your mind. I want this right here. I know this. This is a satellite. I'm going to take you to this too. There's a video of it online. Anybody want to search this right now? Type this in. ELHYSA. Echo Lima Hotel Yankee Sierra Alpha 3. Type that in to YouTube right now to see if you can type that in -- satellite And I guarantee you'll pull up the video for this fucking thing right now. But let's keep going through this so I can show this to you. You see this, people? What does that say? Mir.
Mir.
That's
You've all heard of the Mir satellite?
No.
No? I think it was wasn't it a photographic satellite? It wasn't like the Hubble, but go ahead, Cam.
Yeah, that was Russian Mir. I thought the Mir was a Russian satellite or a station or that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Could
going to
be.
show a bunch of more of these. And then he starts locking in dates. It's
the
amazing.
Mir fucking module.
The Mir module,
That's the
yeah.
Mir space module.
Space
That's
module.
supposed to be attached to the fucking ISS right now. That's the Mir space module.
Okay, that's where I've heard of it. Yeah.
Here goes another one. Mir. March 17th, 1997. Mir. Okay? I want you to see these things.
There's
All right?
another.
I want you to see these things. Let me take you to another one here because there's let me hang on.
There's a lot of balloons that are just named the same thing.
Here we go.
Could it be? Stop it a minute. Stop it a minute, Zach. Could it be that, like, when we sit there and say that we're seeing different things, like in front of the moon and that, could it be that they're running different balloons up in different areas where they're putting out notices for crowd cities to look for it and
That's interesting.
hitting little areas or doing projections from it or doing something tied in or even taking readings that supposedly the satellite would get? Like maybe the satellite's supposedly collecting data or weather, information in that area. So you would need a bunch of little things, catching the view even, or, I mean.
I've been really suspicious on that whole thought too for a long time now, is perhaps there's multiple satellites that are actually just one, but one is taking credit for the other, kind of a thing.
Correct. Right.
And
that's
so
what I think on the ISS and people seeing it all over. And that is that we either have ways to project or do different things with it. But along with the projection that you get for people's visuals, you might also need some data projection and again, some views from up above or that. So maybe again, they're coordinating little things, because I am with the agreement with, I think, everybody on the panel that I don't think that the ISS itself is floating up there as a space station with the astronauts doing the experiments up in that said balloon. I don't think that's the answer at all to that one for all kinds of reasons. Not the least of all the green screen errors and that with the performances of our astronauts and that. So again, I don't see anything. I don't think that they're doing little hotel rooms or little things and doing it or actually have it connected up there.
Yeah, nor I.
Which we'll say again with this, the work that Robert produces, that's like a small little thing we might disagree with, but the work he produces is outstanding, and the amount of documents that he attaches to all of his work. I think that's where
not what you know, it's what you can prove. He would
exactly
always say that.
Saying.
He would always, that was his saying. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And he had documentation for everything. Yeah. Okay, we're going to go on just a little bit more in here. I think, does he show the one where it goes and destroys everything? No, I don't think so. That one was great, that balloon launch. But yeah, just a really good video on, and then he starts talking about.
And now this data makes sense to me. It's not 508 fucking kilometers. It's
like where the satellites are.
The comparison.
Or the balloons.
I think it's at 402,000 feet.
He gets into it. He really gets into it.
Silver dollar office to fucking back it up. You just want to show some bullshit video and you're not a videographer. Look at NASA. Why is NASA using the Swedish to launch a fucking balloon for them? Think about that. They're everywhere, people. They got relationships with all these fucking space agencies. They're carrying out the deception, the fraud, the hoax, the scam, the bullshit.
There's no way they could all be in on it. Right? They're all us.
All right. Well, I know everybody in the chat seems to be okay with the language and everything, but I think we're going to cut it there with showing Robert's video. Again, I'll share the, I guess I could throw it in the chat right now, but this is the PDF that he was covering at the beginning of the show when we started. And then I believe maybe in here, he has NASA balloon launch. Yeah, the Isran Space Center launches. All that kind of stuff. And then just those videos. And there's the PDF, the declassified document. It's in the description of this video, and I will drop it in the chat for you all right now. Real quick. There you go. Drop it over in Rockfin. There you go. Yeah, really, really interesting interview. Robert goes through most of it. We didn't listen to all of what he went through. He doesn't cover every single inch of it, but he goes through quite a bit of it in his video here. So if you want to listen to Robert tell the story, he does a really good job of it. But that's where you can find that. Planete Veritas. I'll go ahead and drop his link to his channel down here for you all.
And I believe he's got like 3 or 4 different channels too. Because when
Yeah,
you
he
to the
got
chat,
censored
it's usually
bad.
under number 4 or number things, and he pops in from time to time. So hoping he catches this.
But yeah, there's the
And,
balloon, Karen, the Echo 1. I will actually pull that up real quick.
That's the one that's in a hangar here in North Carolina. Did you know
Really?
that? Echo 1?
Really?
The one that looks like a big
Interesting.
reflective ball?
Launched in 1960. Yeah.
They claim it was like up there
Yeah,
for years.
it's in South Carolina.
It's look, let's see if it's the same thing, but I'm pretty sure one of those is in a museum in the Carolinas.
100 feet across, provided a reflective surface in space. Radio signals directed at Echo from one location on Earth bounce to another. By the time Echo 2...
Virginia.
Oh, it's in Virginia?
Look there to the right. This object is on display at the James S. McDowell Space Hangar in the Stephen F. blah 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 Center in what is that?
Chantilly? Yeah.
Virginia. So it's around here. I knew it was around here somewhere. Virginia's close. That's just north of North Carolina. So
They don't say how high they supposedly sent the balloon. I'm telling you, you're going to laugh, Karen. It's like 1,000 miles.
okay, look at the Project Echo right above it. How come one picture looks so different than the other? Look at the
I
picture above it
know.
and look at that
Yeah.
stupid shit. Excuse me. Well, Robert Bassano was just saying the F-bomb like 100 times. So that stupid shit can that they've got below it, like, come on, that's not even the same thing. Look at that
No.
picture. See that? Oh, see here. Hangar in Weeksville, North Carolina. Echo 1 sits fully inflated Navy hangar, Weeksville, North Carolina. Listen, road trip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Road
where is
trip.
we?
I want to go see it.
Oh, by the way, while you guys were doing that, I did look up. I asked Google and I said, what was the highest balloon altitude? And it says about 160 or 100,000 feet. The current highest altitude achieved by a NASA balloon is about 160,000 feet. Most scientists generally will want to fly above a specific altitude or as high as possible to improve their collection of science data. There is no minimum altitude, but the NASA balloon program generally tries to fly above 80 to 90,000 feet.
Right here.
As of August
Britannica.
3rd.
Sorry, Cam.
Go ahead.
Inflated to a diameter of 100 feet, the satellite was placed in an almost circular orbit at an altitude of approximately 1,000 miles.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
We had trouble getting up to the Hubble to work on it in the 90s.
1,000 and inflated, fully inflated. in the museum, and it was sent at 1,000 miles. Yeah, sure you did, buddy. So funny.
Oh, that's just good stuff. Oh, you can't make it up, folks. Well, they do, I guess.
Well, they can.
Yeah,
We can't.
we
That was
can't
one of the
make it
arguments
up.
I heard a
Make
long
it.
time ago. Is Echo One? That's like new technology. It hasn't been. No, it's not. It's really old.
It's really old. Yeah. Oh, good stuff. But yeah, that's going to do it for the secret balloon program. I didn't
I've
want
got
to just
something
call
I
it
can
the
share real
Corona
quick.
program. Oh yeah, Kyle definitely had
Yeah.
something. I
Let me,
apologize, Kyle. I
present.
meant to get to
Alright.
that before we even started.
You're fine. You're fine. I'll go over here.
But yeah, this has
Sure.
to do with lenses, fisheye
Yeah,
lenses, correct?
Fisheye lenses. This
Awesome.
is a post I saw recently on Flat Earth Debate Forum, Facebook group. I thought it was funny. But you see this all the time here, okay? The globe earthers will make this, put up a meme and say, oh, that's the curvature of the earth. And they don't have any problem disagreeing with Neil Tyson there on that stuff is flat, right? But they're like, oh yeah, take a look at the wing here. Take a look at the wing and how that's not all distorted. That proves that this is real curvature. It's not a fisheye lens. But so many people out there are not aware that that diagonal lines are like immune to the fisheye lens effect. And so you see all this. And so I tell people about this, right? I just tell people diagonal lines are immune to this. And so when they try to do this, that's a sales gimmick, right? Total sales gimmick.
They're just
trying
exploiting that part of the lens.
Yeah. And
So
I
you
think
just
it's
have
the
to
dog
show
cam-
that.
the dog cam that even has the diagonal little antenna hanging out there. And when you look at the ISS footage, you see these diagonal lines on the solar panels all the time. And so this is a really popular sales gimmick to try to sell you all that, oh yeah, this is legit. But yeah, it's totally like this. Sorry, Carrie.
No,
See, and I
that's good.
can't believe that, when you have your high priest like Neil deGrasse Tyson going and saying stuff like, oh, even Neil Baumgartner couldn't see the curve of the earth. You don't see the curve of the earth from 2 million, sounds
Yeah.
like Bill Cosby kind of.
Yeah.
But, and then they bring this stuff up saying, look, here's the curve of the earth. It's like you're going against your own priests. What are you talking about?
I can only applaud them for doing that. They feel the goal of saying Neil Tyson was wrong. Kudos to you. I love it. You're willing to think for yourself. That's great. And I've got nothing but applause for that. But it's still, I want you to think about exactly what it is you're disagreeing with. And so, yeah. So here they're complaining, oh, well, that's just an illustration and that doesn't prove anything. And they actually, like, you just confront them with that and they just double down on it. And they're like, no, that's legit. You're just faking it. And so here's a fisheye lens effect. And notice all these diagonal lines and where's the distortion? But you can definitely see some distortion around here. Look at the big curvature on these buildings, but all these diagonal lines, where's the distortion?
Wild. I've never noticed that before.
Yeah. And if you look right here, here's a basketball court, right? Diagonal lines. Where's the distortion? But there's some definite distortion going on up here. Yeah, diagonal lines. Where's the distortion? And I really like this little clip here from Canon.
It's not making noise if you wanted it to.
Oh, it's fine. There's
okay.
No sound that you really need to worry about. But yeah, they're just Canon here has got a little ad that's telling you about the fisheye lens and what it's used for and getting a more viewing more in your picture. And in this little ad, you can look right along the edges here. It's immune to distortion, where there's no distortion here, but there's a lot of distortion going on over here. And you can see up here, oh, look, the curvature. But yeah, diagonal lines, they're like immune to it. And this is one of those things that I never knew about until Flat Earth. Flat Earth just opens my eyes to like so many things. It's been like the most significant. Becoming a flat earther was the most educationally significant thing of my life, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just opened my eyes to so many things.
I don't know that it's so much like all diagonal lines, but I think it's just those 4 points in the camera's perception. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just how the lens
there are
went.
some diagonal
So,
lines that can get warped. It depends
right.
on exactly
So
where
if
it's
they
at.
move, if the camera moves, those lines that are not distorted in those pictures will get distorted, and something else will become. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just that focal point of the camera, that X in the screen.
Yeah.
I think the screen X right there, that this is a very
Yeah.
good description of what's happening and what's doing that. And I think it is brilliant. You learn so much on how everything works.
Yeah.
Perspective.
It's just so, but even after sharing stuff like this, no, that's the fake. You whatever. You don't know anything, right? You're a flat earther. You're stupid. You can't be right about anything. Yeah, that's what they'll say. But yeah, I don't know. It's just funny stuff. And so I just had to share that because it was worth talking about. Because not enough people are aware of this stuff. You've got to be aware of the sales gimmicks that they continually try to throw on people.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of tricks. They got a lot of tricks up their sleeve, that's for sure.
That is for sure. I just saw the Jaren.
Going through. Let us know that my little dog rolled in something and needs a bath after the show.
Oh joy.
Oh joy.
Good times.
For all. No, I think I get to do this one. So
Good times for Cammy. We'll say
Good
that one. Well, alrighty, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. We'll go around the room once and just let everybody say where you might be able to find them this upcoming week. Starting off with Mr. Kyle Adams. What do you got going on this week, Kyle?
I'm going to be publishing some of that interview that I did with Missing the Mark of Truth, and my neighbor Malcolm over here, he's been debating more with me on the debate board with the Midnight Zone debates that I've been doing that have been kind of interesting. And so, yeah, I think we're making some progress with that. And so I'm going to get some of that published with the debate board. And I know it's been really fun just talking about all kinds of stuff. But yeah, really, really simple matters. And yet they will fight you tooth and nail on it because you're a flat earther. You can't be right about anything. And so, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so funny the things I'll say sometimes.
All righty. And Mrs. Karen B.
I will be doing
Coffee talk tomorrow?
Coffee talk tomorrow. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing a coffee talk tomorrow for channel members and supporters. And then Saturday should be doing anti-religious scripture study. If Jack is feeling better.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't believe there was one last weekend, was there?
There wasn't one. It was because Jack said he just wasn't up to it. And so,
he's got to not be feeling good.
If he's not feeling up to it, then he must have been feeling bad. So hopefully Jack is feeling better, but I don't know. I
love all of the work that you guys put into that because you guys do such a phenomenal job with that when it comes to really studying the Hebrew and the stuff that people really need to be looking at.
Yeah. Well, that's Jack. Jack does the translation, so I got to give credit to Jack.
Yeah.
So that, and then of course Monday regular coffee talk, and Tuesday of course Strange World with Mark Sargent. I'll be doing the regular stuff. So that's where I'm at.
And Cammy, I don't know if we're having a show tomorrow night on Iron Realm Media. I know Walter's not going to be there. He's going to be out partying with Michelle. It's her birthday. So it might be me, you, Josh. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do, but I just heard that today. So I don't know if we're going to have a show tomorrow. You will be in the chat on GLOBEBUSTERS Sunday, though.
I will be in the chat on GLOBEBUSTERS on Sunday, and I have a little bit of a mix. I just got a call from my sister saying my nephew is in town for a soccer tournament, which the weather is supposed to be horrible, raining the next 3 days. So I might have to go out in the rain and watch that a little bit. I have a project for everybody, maybe before next week's show. Because again, like you put that, and that is a good thing to correct with fisheye lenses and the way you see. And I think that was brilliant that you did that. I have a pet peeve, and I think Karen might have the same pet peeve. I can at least hope she does. I cringe every time I hear somebody say that nature doesn't draw in straight lines. It is a complete cringe moment for me, because I hear it out of the best of them, the worst of them, and the rest of them. And all I want people to do for a project is like, go outside, open your eyes, and look at nature. I don't care if you're looking at a blade of grass, or if you're looking at like dandelions. If we're the spring, you throw those little parasols, they blow. You'll notice that they're pretty straight. So are a lot of twigs. So are crystals growing, of course, in perfect geometry, Karen. But not only crystals, everywhere in nature, there are straight lines. And there are curves, and there are, in other words, we have all of the shapes. We seem to think, just like when we talk about like a flat ceiling, there can't be a dome, or if you have this, you can't have that.
Oh,
it's
Karen,
not
you
an
gotta share
either
that
or.
crystal
It's
that you
not
did
an either
on
or.
Facebook. The Star of David crystal, that was amazing.
Yeah, that is a real crystal that forms in nature.
Let's screen share it. Screen share it. You gotta see it. It's awesome.
Well, let me find it. I don't have it right now.
Giving her homework.
That's okay.
But people could, even in the chat and things, I want you to like go around, look outside, be it mineral, even animals, and anywhere. If you look along your body, you'll notice on your teeth you're in straight edges. You do draw in straight lines. And I think the correct thing would be that nature doesn't draw lines like we draw lines, that we have a starting point here, we pick up a pencil here, and we draw across to here, and we end it. I think nature draws like from the inside out, almost again in a radial pattern. And so maybe things form from the inside out, but that doesn't, in all kinds of things, straight lines occur along with, again, perfect ratios, imperfect ratios, the whole mix. And just because there's one thing out there doesn't mean that everything is that, or the other things don't exist. So prove me wrong on this straight lines. Like, I don't know how you're going to, like, what level you're going to take it down to, saying that it's not a straight line, but I see it in nature all the time.
Yeah, they get super pedantic over that kind of stuff, and just move the goalposts all over the place, and they'll just deny it because you're a flat earther. You can't be right about anything.
Right, but this isn't all, like, I think it's even in science, mainstream science, they say, oh, nature doesn't draw in straight lines, and it's like,
whatever.
What the excuse me, Robert Pisano, what the fuck are people thinking? Do they not look when they're repeating it? Do they not, pay attention at all? So help me out.
I have it on screen, Zach, if you want to share mine.
Okay.
Oh, yay.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, this is naturally occurring crystal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, it looks like someone carved it up or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, but nobody did. The nature made that. It just grew that way.
Yeah, that is so phenomenal.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you can see it over and over again with like all these different sites there.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, big shout outs to Matthew De Gregorio, $20 super chat, our beautiful horizontal world. Justin Johnson, big supporter of the channel, gifted 5 GLOBEBUSTERS memberships earlier. And Toby Walker with a $25 super chat. Much love for the GLOBEBUSTERS.
Thank you so much.
Just
over on Rockton,
lines.
one sec, real quick. $5 super chat by Tony Coriolis. Thank you, brother. Much love.
Tony
Shout out to
Coriolis,
Tony Coriolis.
Arizona. Yeah.
Murray Cole gave a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Murray. We appreciate it, brother. Thank you all.
Love him. He's awesome.
Now, these crystals are red. They're extraordinary. You see the sacred geometry and the straight lines. But everybody, I challenge you, Kyle, living in Utah, or everybody else that's probably got it in your house, take some salt out of your shaker, look at it, take a magnifying glass or your half domes that you have around because you're a flat earther, blow it up, magnify it, and you'll see that they're little bitty cubes all over the place in nature. You will see, again, beautiful straight lines. You'll see dome shapes. You'll see planes. We see it all.
All righty. Okay, we're
All
going to
right.
get out of here. Thank
All
you all
right.
so much for joining us. You can find me over at Iron Rail Media Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Eastern Time, and then usually on Friday afternoons whenever we feel like it. It's usually about between 6:30 and 7, somewhere around there. But yeah, we don't, it's Friday. We're gonna let our hair down a little bit. We don't like to set times for stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it happens when it happens. But we always have fun over there. Last week we had No Longer on the Ball join us. It was a great show. He was showing off True Earth Wiki.
Right on.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. He could use a hand over there helping him with information, but I know he's got a bunch of channels in there for people who make content about flat Earth. He's got a bunch of different topics already in there, and some of them are pretty well, written out. But they're still, I mean, flat Earth. It's a plethora of different topics, and so yeah, it's only him putting stuff in now. I think a couple people helped after they saw it over on Iron Rail Media Friday, and but yeah, he could use some more help over there. But we'll get all that information out to you. I'll put it in the description. If you could drop it in chat, that would be awesome. I think I just saw him there in chat. Yeah. So much love, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. That was the Corona program, the secret balloon program that was declassified and actually started before NASA. And then well into the 70s is what he was talking about, a couple other of their secret balloon programs that he was also a part of. Go check that out on Robert's channel. The link is in the description. Yeah, they've been doing this for a while. They're still using them, and they still keep it pretty secret. It's not as secret, but yeah, they don't. The common person doesn't realize that there's, I forget how many thousands
Yeah.
twice a day,
Yep.
every single day from all across the plane, twice a
Mhm.
day. People are, the weather balloons. That's what we use them for.
And it's way above the traffic, the air traffic.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, these things are up there. They
yep.
are.
High altitude, long duration. Look it up.
Look that up. So thank you all for joining us. Remember, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind because there's truth inside. Peace out, everyone.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.